Hello, welcome back to Showboys Arcane Season 2 coverage. We've made it all the way to Episode 7, and we're going to pretend like it's the first time. Maybe Venom will be pretending like it's the first time he's seen this episode and talked about it. But
Right.
okay, that was terrible. That's terrible. Guys, how you doing? Venom, what's up, man?
I'm here. It's really, really cold in Wisconsin and Minnesota right now, and I hate it. So you're probably doing much better than myself.
I don't know. It's the frigid 62 right now.
Oh boy.
We had 6 for a low last night with up to 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
That's brutal.
So
Yeah, I think I'll take hurricane season.
yeah.
What about you, Nick? How are things up there in good old Ohio?
Doing better than everyone along the lake, that's for sure. They have like 6 feet of snow up there. We just have a nice dusting, but it's only a brisk 20 some degrees. So surviving just fine. We went and drove around, saw some Christmas lights in some nice back pocket neighborhoods. So
that's always fun.
Good times.
Well, we got an episode to talk about. Before we do, of course, got to shout out top tier patrons. Josie, East Fage, Tim B. You guys are awesome. Your support means the world. All of our other patrons, you guys are amazing too. We greatly appreciate your support. If you're wondering what Patreon is or how you can support the podcast, you can head over to patreon.com/showboyspodcast. Sign up today, get some cool perks like early, unedited, uncut podcast episodes. We have Patreon exclusive episodes, all sorts of things like that. So head over there, check it out. Also, we're trying to give these Steelbooks away in the finale in just 2 episodes. So make sure you subscribe, leave a comment so we know that you want to win these, and you will be entered into the drawing. And we'll be giving away, we have the 4K Jinx Steelbook, the Blu-ray Vi Steelbook. Did I get that right, Nick?
Yes, sir.
All right. So yeah, subscribe, leave a comment so we know you want it, and we will try to get it to you. Let's jump right in. Episode 7. First episode of Act 3.
First episode of the entire series. Remember? We have to remember like it's the first time. I thought that's where they're going with that. Not necessarily. There's a much more intimate reason behind that.
It could be the first episode of the series in the universes that we visit.
Yes.
So
it's true.
And that only perhaps, but
yeah. So what do you guys think? Just off the cuff, Nick, general thoughts.
I think outside of like honestly, I think it was the easiest to follow episode. I don't know if I'm like just that caught up in terms of what's going on, or this one was just like really straightforward. I liked it. Had some other things going on. Always something new with these episodes. I like the French song. Found where that fit in. That Venom alluded to last week. So I enjoyed it. It was nice. I don't think it needed a rewatch though, unfortunately. Like I walked away my first watching of it, like, whoa, that was a really good episode. But then I went to like rewatch it. I'm like, like nothing like is particularly rewatch unless I'm really missing some stuff. It's pretty straightforward.
I couldn't remember which episode this was, if it was 7 or 8. Because I watched all 3 of Act 3 together. So I didn't want to spoil anything by telling you, watch 2 of the episodes twice so you make sure you catch everything. And one of the episodes is basically just fluff, kind of, but not really. But important stuff happens. But you're right. It's definitely the easiest to follow episode we have had since season 1.
Yeah, and there's only really one aspect that warrants any like additional speculation, whereas everything else is pretty like alternate reality, alternate like universe kind of explanation, so they're not really dropping us too many like wondering items, because largely none of them matter because we know this is a different universe.
Right.
Do you just
Except,
go
go
ahead?
ahead. No,
No, you
I'm
go.
good.
No, you go ahead.
I said just accept like the 2 or 3 things that are speculative that do tie back to the other, our actual Arcane universe.
Yeah. Do you just want to dive right into the speculation at the top here?
Sure. I mean, outside of our 3 main characters that we finally get to see, it's a little bit. These kind of episodes are cool and all. Like, I like when they do the whole here's what's happening with these ones while we're catching up with where we left off in the last episode. So I feel like we took a little bit of a step back. We're not really moving forward much. We're just kind of doing the typical like, let's revisit all the characters we haven't visited in an episode or 2.
Right.
But the 4th reoccurring character is our hooded figure, who is at the very beginning of the entire series completely. He's kind of like the bonus where like there is speculation about him, because here he is like time either universe hopping, or it's just like the version of, no, I don't know, I think it's the same one, because he's clearly apparently aware of Jace.
Okay,
from other universe.
So you're thinking the hooded figure is the guy who rescued Jace all the way back in season 1.
Well, he's well, he says like, "Why'd you give me this?"
True.
The wrist thing,
true.
the amulet thing.
That track with you, Venom, without revealing anything outside of this episode.
Yeah. I think it was pretty clear. First time watching it through, as soon as the hooded figure shows up in the kind of cloudy, smoky, wherever it is that Jace has landed, he sees the hooded figure kind of walk out of the smoke and then turn around and lead him into the city. I think I at least caught right away, hey, this is the same person, or could be the same person from way back in the beginning. I don't know if it was episode 1 or episode 2 I think it was episode 2, where we first met Jace in season 1.
Yeah.
And obviously we get, because that was always a question in season 2, is why did this figure not only save Jace, but also give him this rune. And of course, the speculation through season 1 was so he could create hex tech and make all this progress in inventions and stuff. But as you kind of progress through this episode, there is a bit of confusion as to, so this hooded figure gave Jace the rune to create all of this stuff that then apparently destroys the city / universe. And now the hooded figure is sending him back to murder his partner. So there's a bit of confusion there as to if this was the entire intention all along. Why did he give him the rune to create the stuff in the first place?
Because chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So story.
He is the arcane. The arcane. He is just pure chaos.
Yes.
The hooded figure is chaos.
It's actually just Zareth.
Right.
No, so we
Dude, he's
of course,
so brutal. I always regret challenging him. I can't beat him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we speculated along with like a ton of people on the internet that figure back in season 1 was Rise.
Right.
So yeah, I guess we still have 2 episodes to get like more of a reveal and more of a explanation of this figure and exactly what you said, like why he's kind of leading Jace along this path. Yeah, for some reason I didn't make the connection of it being the same figure. Part of me thought / maybe thinks it's it's Jace, like a different non-feral Jace. Or maybe
Pokemon Infinity. Come on.
right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, or maybe like a version of Victor. I don't know, but what
version of Victor perhaps, but I really took it as Jace was he was holding his hammer when it all like ended in this universe.
I loved, by the way, I didn't catch this on the first watch, but on the rewatch, like when the hooded figure puts his hand on the shoulder, like
the eyeball
on the mask, like looks at his hand and then looks back and then releases the hammer. Like, so cool. Yeah. So, what was another area of speculation, Nick?
Sorry, I was thinking about that. I assume, well, they made it appear as if they all. So at first, I was trying to remember when I was rewatching. I'm like, so they all go back, right? Do they all go back because what Echo and Heimendinger did, or because of what the hooded figure did? Because they both equally created the anomaly. Whereas I was trying to remember if like the hooded figure created one to send Jace back, or he got ripped back with Heimendinger.
The hooded figure definitely made a motion to create one. I don't know. I didn't watch that as them going back simultaneously.
Right.
I watched it as they both ended up getting sent back because we get especially because we get Jace returning to kill Victor and have not seen Heimerdinger or Echo yet. Mm-hmm. So I took it as Jace got sent back by the hooded figure, and then sometime after, we don't know how long after or even where Echo ends up, because of course, well, Heimerdinger is not with him anymore. But Echo is coming back, and we don't know when or where Echo is returning.
Right. On the second watch, I definitely got the vibe that they were just kind of aligning the two tales of how they get sent back.
Yeah, because clearly they're in different universes.
Yeah.
Because Piltover, right? So it would be interesting if the hooded figure was able to create that for Echo in a different universe. You know
definitely what I mean? Separate now that I think about it. But like, does
it certainly, because when to me it seems like because Echo and Heimerdinger are able to create the mini wild rune in Echo's Z Drive, which we've been waiting to see for so many episodes. They're able to create that little wild rune, and Heimerdinger, of course, says he's going to make an upgrade. And the rune itself, when Heimerdinger turns the machine on, I believe at least my interpretation is Heimerdinger knows exactly what he's doing. He somehow, whether he was withholding this information from Echo or if he came up with it along the way, Heimerdinger has figured out how to send Echo home. So I took that as Heimerdinger has created the wild rune, which is going to teleport Echo, we assume back home, but elsewhere from where they're at. So I took it as the hooded figure sent Jace back, but Heimerdinger is actually the one that sent Echo back.
What happened to Heimerdinger?
Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. I was really trying to watch there at the end to see if, like, while Echo is in the rune, if he like activates his Z drive and somehow like gets Heimer back in there with him before he teleports out. But
right. It very much looks like Heimerdinger has vaporized because Echo screams no. You're right. It would be odd that Echo wouldn't pull his.
He was holding it.
Yeah, he was holding it. But it very much looks like Heimerdinger gets vaporized, and then if Heimerdinger is still alive, why did Echo's body get split, but Heimerdinger did not?
Yeah, Yeah, I thought that was an interesting aspect of the whole like universe hopping. It's very much not Rick and Morty, Nick, where they have to dispose of their
Corpse.
other bodies
Yeah.
to assume the lives of the other bodies. Instead, we see, like Venom said, Echo just like his consciousness or whatever just like implants into this version of Echo, and then when he gets sent back, the original Echo like wakes up, whatever you want to say, not really understanding what's going on. But yeah, what happened to, like, obviously, like you pointed out, Nick, Jace in his reality is like this Last of Us looking organic plant man. So clearly the consciousness didn't just like transport into that version of Jace, and then Heimer just
that
up and
version of
disappeared.
that version of Jace was a bit worse for wear.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, they just kind of, well, in Echo's universe, the divergent point is the episode 1 or 2 of season 1 where they try to do the heist. It's hard to say when the divergent point for the universe where Jace ends up in is, but I would like to think that he definitely continued down the Wild Rune path of like research and like took it to its like end, and that was the end.
Well, and do we even think that Jace is in a different universe?
Or in the
Could he
future.
just
Could he
be,
not
yeah.
just be in the future, and the hooded figure is sending him back to prevent the future?
Thus creating another universe.
I guess, yeah, you could call, depending on which part of physics we want to dive into. Are they splitting the existing universe when they go back, or are they just changing?
Yeah, is this a Marvel time travel or Back to the Future time travel?
That's one of the complaints I have about episode 7 getting into this is a few months back you get the articles all coming out about where they're going to go after Arcane, and some of the higher ups being like, yeah, we don't want to create a new MCU, and then we get into Arcane and we're doing alternate universes.
Shoot, yeah, started early.
I thought we didn't want to become a new Marvel MCU.
Well,
I mean, I'm okay with that. Let's do it. Just LCU this up.
LCU. One thing I thought was weird was I'm not Heimendinger, but mostly everyone else's, but specifically Powder's interactions with him. Not that he wasn't there, but like she clearly has no idea, and no one else has really any idea who he is. So like, is that just Heimendinger in this universe? Is that Heimendinger Echo came with? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns around this Heimendinger in Echo's alternate universe, because like it's not like Powder recognizes him. No one recognizes him. They never note like who he is. The only person that really kind of seems to be aware of him is Echo.
Yeah, well, and Yordles are strange creatures, right? So like, who knows if time travel is different with them, because they're these in like whimsical, like, magical creatures. Who knows?
And it's the Heimerdinger obviously says he's been there for 1,128 days, 6 hours and 20 minutes.
So how old is Heimerdinger though?
Heimerdinger himself is, according to himself, when
like
Progress Day happens, he was 300 something years old. or I believe, because he was there when Piltover was founded, and Piltover celebrated their 200th birthday in season 1.
Right. So like he's been there for about 3 years, is what he tells
Approximately.
Echo.
There's no, on the lore side, there's no
Right.
actual established calendar for League, but
Yeah, I was just trying to think, like, if he's been there for 300 or 3 years, right? Like, is that roughly the same amount of time that has lapsed for Echo and Powder in this alternate? You know what I mean? Like, from the point it diverged.
Well, it had to have, because we see in like the flashback while he's collecting the splinters of the gems. When that happened, they were the same age as season 1, right? And you see Powder holding Vi, and then we get
they seem a little older than just 3 years, though. I guess.
Yeah.
Just trying to string together this weird anomaly around Heimendinger.
It seems like Echo probably arrived around the same point of the universe that he left. It certainly seems, well, maybe it might be a little bit earlier, because I guess
no, he's the same age, because otherwise, he's very roughly the same age.
Right.
Like they just look different because they haven't lived very rough lives.
Right. I was going to say Powder looks more youthful, but Powder has not lived through all the things that
Shimmer. Also not a Shimmer addict, and
right.
Echo doesn't have his cool hourglass painting, face paint tattoo thingy.
Yeah.
Man, that moment when Benzo first walks in the shop, though, at the beginning of the episode, man, that's a good one. Or Echo just
lots of good moments there.
Knocks the boxes out of his hands, gives him a big old hug.
Yeah. I liked all of Echo's interactions with his alternate timeline people.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they do. I mean, obviously, we talked about how great the animation is all season long. But the emotion that he's able to convey through his face and facial expressions,
even the shuddering of the eyes, you can tell when the eyes water and are just slightly shuddering.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. It's such adds just a more just another layer of emotion and stuff that I didn't think you could do in animation, but they crush it for sure.
Apparently for $250 million you can.
Yeah. What'd you guys think about the Echo Jinx ship in this alternate reality?
It was awesome.
Yeah. How do you think that's going to play out, Nick, as Echo goes back to his regular timeline?
Well, Jinx is a changed gal over there in the present timeline. That would be a weird thing, because it's not did they have any sort of
when they were younger they were close, because they used to play the different where the bridge scene happens and you get the flashback of young Powder and young Echo playing, where Jinx is trying to shoot Echo with the whatever bouncy ball gun, and Echo is trying to make it to Jinx. So obviously they were close and are basically the same age,
right?
So there definitely could have been a pretty easy path for them to be together in the other universe.
Yeah, so that just has to be really interesting for Echo, because that's probably something that was so quick, so long gone in his memory, right? That time.
Well, and you saw how long it took him in this universe to accept that. Hang on, no, this is still Powder. This is not Jinx. This is Powder, and to slowly allow her to get close throughout the episode.
Yeah, just the knowledge of that alternate timeline, just really is screwy, right? And then to go back to your actual timeline and be But it'd be different if Jinx was still like off her rocker. But the fact that she's kind of arcing in her story is really interesting because now it's like, I don't know how he'd approach that. She might try to kill him at first, vice versa. Flip the roles here.
Well, and they have the whole after the French dance, they've got the whole scene. They've got the whole scene out on the ledge, and Echo explains how he used to have this same vision for what Zaun could become, and he had started to forget that vision and believe that it couldn't be the way it is. And I read into that a little bit, as in he wasn't just talking about Zaun, he was also talking about Powder.
But he's kind of unaware of her turning around in her character. So he'll be pleasantly surprised to come back and find that Jinx is more powdery.
He doesn't know anything at all about what's been happening since season 1.
So now he's going back and he's like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then he runs into Jinx for the next time. And he's like, dang.
Could it happen?
Could it happen?
Walks through the lanes and sees the big her holding the flare monument on the wall.
Yeah, what'd you think about the Vi monument now that you brought up monuments?
Right.
Both Powder's like little memorial and the one that Echo painted. What'd you think of those? I thought the Powder memorial was pretty sad. I was wondering what was happening to Vi, and then find out that she died during the job. Damn. Like, that's crazy.
Right. It was interesting to see that you get that with the little Vi doll and the kind of shrine to her. You get that glimpse that there are still those pieces of Jinx in Powder, because that's the same thing she did with everyone in season 1. Just obviously it was much more tragic, and being her doing it, and she was losing it. It is interesting to see that in this alternate universe, Vi dies, which literally in Powder's arms it appears, and somehow she does not lose her rocker in that universe.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see that the traumatic experience from season 1 and the traumatic experience from this alternate universe do not push her in the same path.
Well, yeah, I mean, they happen at two different like points though, because it took 3 episodes to get to that point,
right?
Where, and I think the big point is the fact that the little hex spheres, right, never really came. She just kept them like she originally did, but no one in this situation was chasing her for them, and like leading to Silco wanting them and everyone wanting them, and the whole place just falling apart. But yeah, like it's just, it just doesn't take much to
Well, and because if you go all the way back to episode 1 in season 1, when they are first kind of crossing the bridge and they find Vander and find out that their parents are dead, you already see the on the enforcers that walk by and on the dead bodies, you already see the glimpses of Jinx in the animation. They make little faces appear and stuff like that. So I took that to mean that part of Jinx was always there. So to see that she already had that there, and then for Vi to die and for that to not progress in some form, or perhaps it did and someone was able to pull her out of it. I think that would actually be an interesting thing to know. Yeah. Did the companionship of Echo and the others actually pull her back from that?
I think the main difference being like the regular timeline, all that entire catastrophe was like 100% Jinx's fault or Powder's fault. And then on top of that, like the only person there that was like her support was like, yeah, you idiot, that was your fault. You just killed all of our friends and our dad. Like, way to go. Whereas, I mean, we don't see the event in this timeline, but it just looks like an accident, and like everyone, even the enforcers, like have that when they walk in the room, the concerned look, and everyone's like, oh crap, like this isn't good. And probably everyone was there to console each other, and Powder didn't just murder her entire family.
Well, she did technically drop the sphere in season 1.
Yeah.
So she may still have accidentally, but it is interesting though, with Vi dying and those being illicit banned goods, basically. Does that mean that Jace in this universe was taken to jail, or what happened to Jace? Because obviously he does not go on to continue his experimentation because of this tragedy. You would assume all of his stuff is confiscated. He gets no chance to pursue that for whatever reason.
Sure.
I wonder if that's because there's a dead body at the scene of the crime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is because of this tragedy that actually happened in this universe, Jace, his stuff would have still been confiscated, but I would assume he doesn't even get a chance to plead for his case.
Because Heimerdinger is like, literally killed someone. Let's totally not.
Right.
Like I said the first time in all dimensions. I just said it the same thing. Someone died.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Because very clearly, Heimer tells Echo that when they're in the alleyway, like, we can't get home because Hextech doesn't exist here. So we can't even, like, how do we even create an anomaly without the source of the anomaly? So yeah, and back to your point you talked about like several minutes ago, Nick, like when Powder walks out in the alley and sees Echo talking to Heimer, she's like, who's this guy?
Right.
Like, who are you talking to?
But she doesn't even acknowledge it. Like she just has a look on her face. Like that's about it. Like she's not like, who's the Yordle that keeps hanging out with us now? That's like helping us do this thing, and you know what I mean. Like maybe are they maybe maybe everyone just knows who he is. You know what I mean? And he already he's already a mentor to Echo in this universe, and maybe it's just completely normal.
That's true. But then that would still be kind of like a weird reaction if that's somebody that you knew Echo hung out with.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Well,
I love his little like wrench guitar.
Right.
I love his song that he plays.
The Heimerdinger song is wonderful. I love that part. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, so if we're basing everything on the only split that happens from that universe to the universe we know is Vi dying, Heimerdinger was still a council member before that.
Right.
But for whatever reason, it appears that Piltover does not prosper in the same way that now Zaun prospers.
Well,
so
doesn't know Hextech.
There's no
Zaun just like caught up.
Right? Yeah, Piltover kind of stagnates because they don't get the Hextech, and Zaun somehow becomes more prosperous, rises up, whatever it is.
Rises up.
But why but why did or what happened with Heimerdinger in that world, where you track, okay, so he takes all this stuff away from Jace. He's still a member of the council. You would think the people of Zaun would know that, or did the council, something happen to the council where, because Piltover was floundering, did the council dissolve? Did Heimerdinger get kicked off
Maybe that's why
'Cause
Powder was
he-
looking at him
So
weird.
he's a disgraced council member that now just sings to children in the streets.
That's the other thing. It's like he's literally in the street, like panhandling. Like,
Right.
so it's like
Singing to
no
children.
one knows or cares like who he is. So this makes me feel
Yeah.
like no one
They-
knows who he is.
Yeah, but if you track it that way, I feel like the people probably know who he is, but
Yeah.
if he is a kind of exiled council member, or everyone kind of blames him for the floundering of Piltover and whatnot, and now he's just this kind of street singing hobo guy, I guess that would explain
Who
Jinx.
helps Saw Knights
Yeah.
like invent stuff. He's probably a
Right.
mentor to them.
Yeah, but I could see maybe
Yeah.
that's why Powder gives him that look. It's like, why are you hanging out with the guitar hobo?
And why is he now helping us out in very useful ways and
Yeah,
these
yeah.
inventions?
Yeah. No, so those are all good questions.
We mentioned Jace earlier. This was an episode where I like Jace. They go back and forth.
Is it because he gets severely injured, Nick?
Yeah, dude. When he gets hit by his own hammer falling down the slide, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, you deserve that. But then he has like this Batman Begins like redemption out of the hole.
Yeah,
Totally
literally climbing out of the hole.
I was like, dude, this is Batman Begins. Like, this is what happens to him in like the Himalayas or where the hell he's at in that movie.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, no, Jace's arc in this, very cool. And I love the look of the like organic wild rune or whatever. It's just so colorful. It's colorful in
But
the
horrifying.
times that it's colorful, but like most of the time it's like you can kind of see in the background here, pretty muted and like browns and like dark muted neutral tones. But then the part of the background that is blocked by our cameras or whatever, when the color pops, man, it dude, it just looks so good. Looks so good. I love it. Yeah, really interesting to see him kind of like battling his inner demons, right?
You
Literally.
very quickly get to why he looks like he went through Nam when he comes back.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And the whole time I was like, well, what the heck? He like dismantled his hammer. Like, where does he get this cool like wild
Right.
rune hammer? And then we
Right.
get at the very end, super cool.
He found himself in his hammer.
Yes.
He saw himself. Himself saw himself with the one little eye twitch and was like, "Here's the hammer, bro.
Yeah.
Do
looks
better
you're
job
missing
than me."
Right.
You know what else we saw? At least what I saw. Maybe two Ionians walking the streets. They're kind of like chubbier, older looking Yasuo dudes with not nearly as long of top knots on their head. But they had like, Yasuo's like little neck scarf thing, right?
Yeah, I noticed that
So,
too. The
yeah,
little mohawk, short mohawk
yeah.
dude in the background, right before Echo does the replay of the bridge scene.
Yep.
I saw that in the background too. I'm like, is that Yasuo?
He really let himself go.
Right.
So that was cool to see, maybe an Ionian, but also, I don't know, Nick probably did not notice this, but did you notice on that little like spinny wheel thingy, like a lot of the symbols there are esport organization logos? There's like Fnatic, half of Cloud9's logo. There's maybe a Gen G logo. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely not important, but pretty cool. They like threw those in there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess, we didn't talk about Vander and Silco, like, obviously being there because, everyone else is alive. Oh, and the Powder and Vi's two friends that I can't remember the names of.
Milo and Clagger.
Yeah, there you go. They're alive and kicking. you know?
Yeah.
So for Silco, I guess Vi's death made him rekindle his friendship with Vander, perhaps. Because I mean, he seemed like very like, you know, in the other universe, like he was already on the path he was on
Right.
before the whole heist thing happened. So it's like something really like pulled him off that path of being a gangster.
Right. Yeah.
Must be
I don't
Vi's
know
death.
if it was Silco going to Vander to pay his respect and for his loss, and that kind of being a catalyst to reigniting the friendship, or if Vander after losing Vi kind of goes out and finds Silco himself to right the wrong, because obviously Vander is the one in this case who both sides view did wrong in trying to kill Silco. So was it Silco coming to Vander, or was it Vander going to Silco to make amends after losing another person?
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, I love how Echo's like, didn't he try to kill you?
Well, and you get another important line there where Silco says sometimes the best thing is to forgive, which I think helps lead into Echo starting to accept Powder for who she is in this universe.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's really good. Also true in real life, not just in shows. Sometimes the best thing to do is forgive.
No, people clearly watch entertainment related things and just completely think it is unrelated to real life. I swear it. That's how most people think.
I just like holding a grudge.
that, yeah. I mean, they have movies about that too. I mean,
it's true. But yeah, I mean, is there much else to talk about? I mean,
what's gonna happen?
We basically recapped the episode, like you said at the top, Nick. Not an incredible amount of stuff happens. Enough stuff happens. I mean, I guess we didn't talk about Echo and the Z Drive. Of course, that being his ultimate from the game, being able to
time loop,
rewind back to a position like a few seconds ago, which is both really annoying and really powerful.
You say that about
interesting
every
in the game though. He reverses himself.
Yeah.
In the show, he reverses everyone but himself.
That is
interesting.
That is true. Yeah, Nick, in the game, when his ultimate is available, there's like a little trail and like a shadow version of your character that follows along the path that you go. And when you use your ultimate, it jumps back to where that shadow version of you is. So it's pretty cool.
See, there's also in the show, Echo says the limit is 4 seconds, which we get a very, very hilarious Heimerdinger's like, how do you know? After Heimerdinger had literally just exploded into a million pieces.
You're just going to have to trust me on this.
In the game, is his ultimate not 5 seconds?
I don't know. Let me see.
Because he's lethal in the game, you know.
But and the reason I ask is in the game when he jumps back, doesn't he cause? I don't play Echo, but when he jumps back 5 seconds, does he not cause damage around himself when he jumps back?
That'd be
so
cool.
That would
yeah,
track. Is it 4 seconds?
Hold on. There's a character in Valorant named Gecko that has apparently a similar thing, because I googled Echo's ult duration and it's like Gecko's ultimate duration 6 seconds. Like, no, that's not what I'm looking for.
I think they should change the game to match the show, to where you're playing, and if there's an Echo on the map and he does that, you literally just like reappear.
Everyone else on the map,
everyone just moves back 5 seconds.
That would be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
That would be so hard to play against.
Dude, that,
or at least like in a vicinity, right? Like within what's in view, right? Everyone just
Right.
So like if people were coming after you, and you just hit that, they all just go back off your screen.
Right. Someone jumps in to gank you, and you just no, never mind. I see you, and then
Not today.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be interesting.
Sorry, I'm still.
I'm glad I'm glad I know that the Z drive is his ultimate now. That all makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it's 5 seconds, and I think he does damage to people around him when he arrives. So
now
he definitely does damage when he lands.
So if the show says it's 4 seconds and everything around you explodes after that, it would make sense that him
Okay,
doing
so
5 seconds.
So Chrono Break, his ultimate passive upon learning Chrono Break, or if its cooldown is lower than 4 seconds, Echo reveals a time delayed after image of himself that constantly tracks where he was 4 seconds ago. So it lines up with the show. Yeah.
Well, then it doesn't make as much. I feel like it needs to be 5 seconds and then do damage, because that makes sense with the show then.
So he's going back to the main universe with his Z drive as a move.
That's what it looked like.
It was with him. Hand.
Yeah, it was with him.
He had it in his hand, but we don't necessarily know where the portal is taking him.
This is true. Right.
Yeah, that part is going to be interesting where he pops up, because
and technically where and when.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know. Does he even show up?
He's gonna save freaking.
He lands in the cave Jace just climbed out of. It's like, oh, dang it!
Try it again.
Jace lands back in the real universe, and Echo pulls his string, and Jace gets sent back to the other universe.
He's got to save.
Oh, that would be so funny.
Know. Does he come back and save Victor?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Land right before. Do you get?
But he can't pick where he goes. I assume like JC's going to go. He's going to go back to the the generator room, but will he though?
Maybe. I mean,
I feel like
you don't really know. Can you control where you go?
Hooded dude can, or was just lazy and just back to where he came from. Unknown.
So did Hooded Dude bring them there? Did Hooded Dude bring Jace there in the first place?
I don't know. You're asking all these very hard to answer questions, Venom. Yeah, no, that's a very interesting thing to think about. Also, now that we're talking about it, I wonder what the reality Jace is in, because now, okay, so he gets sent back and kills Victor, or did he already, or like maybe what if the events of episode 6 or whenever he pops up in the generator room and then goes and blasts a hole in Victor's chest happened, and then he gets sent into wherever he is. So like maybe what we see before he kills Victor is not him getting sent back. Maybe that already happened and he's getting sent back to do something else at a different time. I don't know. I don't know how to get like what's in my. I don't know what's.
He already has the hammer.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Wrong.
He does have the cool hammer.
Yeah,
wrong.
He has the cool hammer.
Echo shows up and just erases all of episode 6.
Right.
Because we lost what?
The best episodes.
We lost Warwick.
Dude, they are literally becoming
Warwick,
the MCU
Rictus, and Victor. I mean, does he go back and bring all those guys back? They killed off what, 3 champions already?
Yeah, don't endgame this Infinity War or whatever. If you can understand that whole analogy. don't
50% of people that disappeared.
Yeah, don't undo the snap, please. Because that just
we're just gonna undo it.
Yeah, so dumb. I hate it when things like that happen. But yeah, I don't know. We're gonna see, because Victor very clearly had a very massive hole through basically his entire torso. So
Right.
not sure how he survives that
And
to become the Machine Herald.
All of his followers died as well.
Yeah.
Or
Presumably.
something, presumably. I mean, you could see what looked almost like souls or something, because there were little white wisps that literally came out of their bodies. So it's like, what, they were losing something was escaping their bodies.
Yeah.
And that is interesting too, because in the universe that Jace goes to, you have a lot of what very much looks like people that died when the Hex Gate exploded, but then you've got all these creature things that are still alive,
like following
that
him,
follow Jace around. So it's like, what's the difference between the people that exploded in place and the ones that are still alive?
Right. And it's the ones that exploded in place literally look like I don't know what the appropriate term is, but like, you know, like a snake skin, like a husk that somebody shed,
Husk.
right?
That's a good term.
Because like it's only like half or like, you know, part of their head is like blown out, but the rest of their skull or whatever is still there. So it almost seems like, you know, you're talking about like the wispy thing leaving their body, like something just like exploded out of them, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, because you've watched the entire act, but Nick,
Ben's been
like,
doing a good job, like pretending he doesn't know.
yeah, no, he does a good job hiding it. Where do you think we go from here, Nicholas?
Well, excuse me.
Channeling your inner Mike, I see.
Yeah. I really don't know. I think I would like to think we're gonna see where Echo pops out, like first thing. Or we go to the scene of the crime of Victor's murder by Jace. I'm not sure which one we'll start with, but I really hope we're gonna follow up. It's interesting because the past two episodes, even though they're separate arcs, like they're very kind of close together in what's going on. So I kind of almost feel like we're moving into a finale, but it's just a penultimate, because I'm thinking about the past two episodes, two different arcs are like very together. So so I really hope that they kind of build off that and like we just kind of jump into it, or if there's gonna be some kind of time jump and
Right.
Echo comes back at a different point in time to which just happened with, you know, the murder of Victor by Jace, and like I don't know, Jace is rampaging and murdering everybody else. Who knows what that dude gets up to? Yeah, but definitely gonna see where Echo kind of shows up, hopefully right away, and we don't kind of. I don't want to lose any characters at this point in the game. Like I don't want any more dual episodes where it's like, well, we covered this half here, then this half there.
2 episodes left.
Yeah,
They have to start sticking to a line, kind of.
Yeah. We need to start seeing these threads converge.
And I think that's my only like empty gripe about this, is because like a rewatch on this episode doesn't really get you anything new that you didn't miss anything the first time through.
For a general viewer, I would agree, and even for people more in tune with the lore, I mean, maybe I would have noticed the call out to some of the league teams or whatever, but I did not really gain much from the second watch through this outside of just refreshing what was 2 weeks in my brain back.
Right.
Yeah, and like that kind of just annoys me, because we could have. I mean, I guess it's cool we saw what they went through, but is that important to see what they went through? I like to think it will be important to have seen the whole Echo and Jace journeys.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be. But I could have seen it to where I mean, I was fine with Jace just kind of coming back looking like he crawled out of, Nam.
Right.
And then Echo just reappearing later on. I didn't need a whole episode to like
Right.
explain
This
that to me.
seems kind of like one of those in all of the TV shows that make it 4 or 5 seasons that just decide to randomly throw like a musical episode or something there where it has nothing to do with any of the story, but everyone just has to suddenly be singing and you get this weird collaboration episode in the middle of a season with some other show. Nothing.
The random crossover.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it feels like.
Yeah, I hope that all that context is super important, because I would have been very okay with just this whole time, but instead of us having this conversation, been like, wonder what happened to Jace and Echo.
Yeah.
Like, they came back
Jace
totally changed.
still,
You didn't have to show us. Like, we could have just speculated on that, because it does not feel like it's that important that they went through that. But I hope it is. Yet, right. I hope it was important to have this episode.
They make it. Okay. Yeah, hopefully they make it important.
What if?
No, that's a Marvel.
The whole point. Yeah, well, Arcane is just becoming the MCU. Remember?
No, it's not. They said it's not.
This was what if Arcane.
Oh God.
But okay. So to make this episode impactful, there has to be some sort of showdown between Jinx and Echo in the next 2 episodes, where Echo is going to have to do something that he is going to be like morally and emotionally conflicted about, right? Because as soon as you see, I mean, this is just like the oldest trope in the book, right? As soon as you see a side character get like a lot of show in an episode, you're like, all right, by the end of this episode, that character is definitely going to die. Like, oh man, I love this guy. I wish I would have done this more. And then in the episode, he gets like shot in the head, and you're like, oh okay. Well, thanks for making me care for like 5 seconds.
Back-to-back sacrifices in these last 2 episodes.
Right. But they spend an entire episode like showing this relationship in an alternate universe and getting like the main timeline Echo to have these feelings for Powder. And then he's going to get thrust back into the main timeline where Powder is Jinx, and they're kind of at odds with each other, even though she's kind of becoming more like Powder and less like Jinx. But, that if I were writing this, that's where I would go, right? Because you got to add weight to things like this, or else, like you said, Nick, you just kind of wasted an entire episode. I mean, like, it was kind of cool, but when you only have 18 episodes of a show, it's kind of hard to just throw one out for a cool little side story. That's where I would go with it. But yeah, we still got like Mbessa and
Mel.
Warwick, and the whole Black Rose Mel thing. Like,
survived.
Yeah.
We got to see who's even left after the kind of
epic battle
was,
the
right?
Isha tactical nuke that was dropped in the commune.
Before I forget, the like balcony scene where Echo and Powder are hanging out, that is a lo-fi like video like snapshot. It looks like exactly like one of the YouTube like lo-fi like 4-hour
beats
loops.
To chill and study and do homework too.
Yeah. Because like there's that little like lantern in the corner that's just like there's just like enough little things moving in there that I'm like, if you just remove the characters, this could totally just chill on like the screen for.
Just keep the characters, and you could make like
they're sitting there.
Lo-fi beats to play League of Legends too.
Oh, God,
no,
there you go.
Nothing lo-fi about that.
I need some I need some
Internet.
Project Yi going on in the background. And
by the way, Heimerdinger absolutely destroyed me in the league match I played last night, and it was painful. It was so painful because one of those classic ones, Venom, where we were crushing them, and then like 25 minutes hit, and Heimerdinger was just unstoppable, and we lost. So
Interesting.
It was
You
fun
don't-
until it wasn't fun.
You
Is he
don't
like
normally see that out of Heimerdinger.
Yeah, he just kind of, not to go in the weeds, but our top laner just kind of gave him free roam down the entire lane. And he farmed up and just got super powerful.
Top lane Heimerdinger.
he
That-
kind of
Yeah.
that checks out that he's one of those heroes where like that most of the time you don't have to worry about them until someone that really knows what they're doing jumps in the driver's seat and then they just absolutely own everything. Those were always the fun like Heroes of the Storm matches that I enjoyed where like either it was always fun when we pulled out like the troll character that just like
Heimer is really, really difficult to play well.
Yeah. It's all about managing your turrets and like,
Yeah. Well, and not even just
Right.
managing the turrets, but getting them to interact with his other spells properly. And yeah,
mhm, stuff. But yeah, I guess we're done talking about episode 7.
yep.
I think so.
All right.
Bring it on.
So little random shout out. The Steam Autumn sale, all of the Riot Forge games went on a pretty deep discount. I scooped
As
up
they
Ruined King. Having a lot of fun with that so far. I'm very excited to continue this whole Shadow Isles, Misfortune, Ruined King storyline. Venom, you picked up Mage Seeker?
I've already complained about Mage Seeker on one of our other episodes.
But the story, the lore, is it worth it?
The story is going pretty decent so far. I'm not all overly far in, but it's learned my girl Lux is not actually named Lux. That was a bit concerning to figure out that her name is actually Luxana. That was interesting. I knew kind of her familial story and what was going on that way, but I did not apparently know her real name. So that was a bit odd. But the story's definitely what's keeping me going on it.
Nice.
And I'm going to beat it on hard because that is all I do. So
Nice. Maybe one day we'll get Nick to pick up a Riot Forge game.
Nope.
I wouldn't recommend this one.
All right, guys. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment so you can enter the giveaway. And we'll see you here next week for episode 8. Have a good one.
Tight.